Some mornings begin with a heart already full of anticipation. Others begin with the quiet weight of something unresolved that has been waiting since before sleep arrived last night. And some begin with a numbness that is neither gratitude nor grief, but simply the tired continuation of a season that has asked more than was expected, for longer than was planned. Wherever this morning finds you, whatever arrived in your heart before your feet touched the floor, there is one decision available to you right now that changes the entire texture of what follows. The decision to begin with a thankful heart. Not because a thankful heart requires perfect circumstances to be genuine. Not because gratitude is a feeling you have to manufacture from scratch before it becomes available to you, but because there is something already here this morning, already present in this moment, before this day has asked a single thing from you, that deserves to be acknowledged before anything else receives your attention. You are here, you are breathing, and the God who held your life through the night has already decided that your story continues into this morning. That alone is the foundation of a thankful heart. Take one slow breath right now. Let the weight of your shoulders release even slightly. Let your hands rest open. And before this morning belongs to anything else, let it belong to gratitude. God of mercy, before this day takes another step, I simply want to say thank you. Not as a formality before I arrive at what I actually came to say. Not as the opening line of a prayer that quickly moves on to requests and needs and everything still unresolved. As the whole point, the entire reason I have come here before the morning has fully claimed me. Thank you for this new day that I did nothing to create and could not have maintained by my own strength or my own faithfulness, or any quality I possess, that made me more deserving of another morning than the person who did not wake up to see one today. Someone went to sleep last night with plans for this morning that they will never carry out, with conversations they intended to have, with people they meant to call, with things they believed they still had time to do, and this morning they are not here. But I am, not because I earned this, not because my record of faithfulness justified another day, but because your mercy made a decision about my life before I was awake enough to participate in it. Your mercy looked at my story and decided it was not finished. That whatever you are building in me still has more chapters ahead of it than behind it. And that decision, quiet and unremarkable as a morning might feel, is the most extraordinary thing that has happened to me today. If your heart can receive that this morning, type Amen in the comments right now. Let this community begin this day together with gratitude before anything else. Faithful Father, I want to begin this morning with something I do not do often enough. I want to remember, not forward into everything I am still hoping for, backward into what you have already done. Because somewhere between the urgency of what is still pending and the pressure of what today will require, I have sometimes allowed the evidence of your faithfulness already behind me to blur into the background, rather than standing as the clearest argument available for trusting you with everything still ahead. So this morning I chose to look back. I remember the season I did not think I would survive, and then survived. I remember the morning I woke up with no clear path forward, and by the end of that week a door had opened I had stopped expecting. I remember the relationship I had genuinely given up on, and the quiet moment it began to shift without announcement or drama or any effort I had made. I remember the provision that arrived through a channel so unexpected I could not have invented it as a possibility in my most creative moment of faith. I remember the fear I carried for months that lifted one ordinary afternoon without ceremony and without a single external change that would explain why it lifted. None of those were coincidences. Every single one was your faithfulness, working quietly in the background of my life, whether I was paying sufficient attention to acknowledge it or not. And this morning I acknowledge every one of them, specifically, with the full weight of gratitude they have always deserved. Gracious Lord, your word says your compassions never fail, that they are new every morning, that great is your faithfulness. I want to receive every word of that this morning as living present tense truth rather than familiar language that has been heard so many times it has lost its power to land with the force it was meant to carry. New every morning. The mercy available to me right now was not available yesterday. Not because it was withheld yesterday, because today has never existed before. This specific morning, this precise collection of hours between now and when this day ends, has never been given to anyone, and the mercy prepared for it is equally new, calibrated for what this day specifically will require. Sufficient for the moments of this day I have not yet reached, already present in the hours ahead of me before I have arrived in them. Your compassions never fail, not never fail except in the seasons that test them most severely, not never fail when the person receiving them has been consistent enough to deserve their continuation. Simply never fail, the absolute version, the version that has not found an exception in the full length of my life so far, and will not find one in whatever remains ahead of it, and great is your faithfulness. I want to sit inside that word great for a moment this morning. Not adequate faithfulness. Not the faithfulness that does enough to fulfill an obligation. Great. The kind of faithfulness that goes beyond what was required, that shows up in ways that exceed what was strictly necessary, that has been present in my life not merely at the level of sufficiency, but at the level of greatness. That is the faithfulness I woke up inside this morning, and I am grateful. Tell us in the comments right now the one thing you are most grateful for this morning. Not the thing you think you should mention, the actual thing. The one that came to your heart when we talked about looking back. Write it below. We read every single one. Ancient of Days. There is a confession I want to bring before you this morning, before this prayer moves anywhere else. I have sometimes arrived at my mornings measuring your goodness, primarily by the prayers you answered the way I asked. When the breakthrough came, I said you were faithful. When the provision arrived, I declared your goodness. When the door opened on the timeline I was hoping for, I told everyone about your faithfulness. But when the answer was not what I asked for, my declaration grew quieter. When the door stayed closed past the point where I could easily maintain that you knew what you were doing, my testimony became something I said because I knew I was supposed to, rather than something I felt with the same conviction. Forgive me for that, because your goodness was never something that existed only in the answers that matched my preference. You were good when you said yes. You were equally good when you said not yet. You were just as good when you said not this way, and redirected me towards something I could not yet see, but that would eventually reveal itself as better than what I had been asking for. You were good when you closed the door I was pressing against. Not cruel, not indifferent, good, working with a perspective on my life that I simply did not have access to from where I was standing. And you are good this morning, before today has confirmed that goodness in any visible way, before the day has given me a single reason to say it, simply good, because that is your character. Unchanging, consistent, not dependent on what this morning produces as evidence. Thank you for being good, even in the chapters where I found it the most difficult to say so. Loving Shepherd, I want to thank you this morning for the blessings I have been standing in, without fully recognizing them as blessings. Because there is a particular kind of invisibility that only consistent goodness can produce. The blessings that have been present every single morning of my life have faded from view precisely because they have never once been absent, and I have allowed their consistency to become their camouflage. Thank you for breath. The specific breath arriving right now without my instruction or effort, for the 10,000 breaths that arrived while I slept last night without my awareness or my participation, for a respiratory system that has been faithfully executing its purpose since the first moment of my existence, without requiring my management. Thank you for sight, for the morning light available to me right now wherever I am, for the faces I can see, for the created world visible to me that has been placed in front of me by a God who did not have to make it beautiful, and made it beautiful anyway. Thank you for the mind that can form this prayer, that can feel the weight of gratitude and find language for it, that can reach toward you in thought and find you already present before the thought is fully formed. Thank you for the people in my life, Father, the ones who know the fuller version of my story and remain, the ones who have witnessed the chapters I am least proud of and continued to show up, the ones whose love for me has been one of the most consistent and tangible expressions of your love working through human beings that I have ever received. Thank you for the roof that covered me through the night, for the warmth available to me right now, for food that is accessible to me today, that someone somewhere is earnestly asking you to provide for them. I receive every single one of those things this morning, not as defaults but as gifts, specific, deliberate, given by a God who thinks about my daily needs with a level of care and attention that I cannot fully comprehend. Compassionate Father, I want to pause this prayer for a moment and speak directly to everyone praying with me this morning, because not everyone who pressed play on this prayer this morning came here with a heart that felt naturally thankful. Some came here exhausted from a season that has required sustained faith in the absence of visible evidence for longer than felt reasonable, exhausted from praying the same prayer so many times that the words have begun to feel like they are traveling a well-worn path that leads to the same silence they have always met at the end of it, exhausted from holding it together for the people around them, while nobody is fully aware of what holding it together has been costing. If that is where you are this morning, I want you to hear something before this prayer continues. God already knows you came here tired. He is not evaluating your gratitude on the basis of how genuine it feels in your body this morning. He is not measuring the validity of this prayer against how consistently thankful you have been in the weeks leading up to it. He is not requiring that your heart feel full before it is qualified to say thank you. He receives the prayer of the exhausted person who shows up anyway. With the same grace, he receives the prayer of the person overflowing with visible reasons for gratitude. Showing up is the prayer. And you showed up. That is enough. Holy One, your word says in Psalm 103 to bless you with everything within us, to bless your holy name, and to forget not all your benefits. I do not want to forget this morning, who forgives all my iniquities, not some of them, not the smaller, more manageable ones, all of them, every chapter of my history that I carry with something between regret and shame has been covered by a forgiveness that does not keep records of what it has already erased. The permanent mistakes, the ones I cannot undo no matter how much I wish I could, those are covered too. Who heals all my diseases? Father, every physical struggle being carried quietly by someone in this prayer this morning, speak to it right now. Every body that woke up this morning fighting something it did not ask for and cannot fully control, you are Jehovah Rapha. The God who heals has not changed, and the power to heal has not diminished, and it is available right now to every specific situation that needs it. Who redeems my life from destruction? I think about every moment in my own story where things could have taken a significantly different and significantly worse direction. Every near miss I knew about, and every one I will never know about because your hand redirected it before it reached me. Every path that looked reasonable and would have been damaging, that I was turned away from before I had walked far enough down it to understand the danger. That is redemption. Quiet, constant, operating in my life every single day. Who crowns me with loving kindness and tender mercies. A crown goes above everything. Above the circumstances, above the fear, above the uncertainty, above whatever this day holds that I do not yet know about. Loving kindness and tender mercies as a crown over my life, not because I have earned the right to wear it, but because that is what the King places on the people he loves. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. I am not forgetting this morning. Abba Father, I want to thank you not just for what is behind me this morning, but for what is ahead, for the prayers still in formation that have not yet arrived at their answer, but are moving toward it with every tick of the clock, for the breakthroughs that are already scheduled in your timing that my calendar has no knowledge of yet, for the peace that will protect my mind today, when circumstances try to pull it into anxiety, for the strength that will arrive at 2 p.m. when my own resources feel completely spent, for the protection that will surround my movements, my decisions, my steps, and my family through every hour of this day. I thank you in advance, not as a test of faith, but as a statement of trust, because the God who was faithful yesterday has not altered his character overnight. You are the same God right now that you were in my most significant testimony. So I enter this day with my head lifted, with my heart steady, with my hands open to receive whatever you have prepared for me today, and closed to every fear that tries to convince me I am walking into it alone. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad. In Jesus' mighty and precious name, amen.